Why are there so many different ways for so many different humans to choose to believe? Who are we? Why are we here? How are we supposed to do something? How are we supposed to feel? How are we supposed to reach whatever is the subject of our interest? It can be success, it can be abundance, it can be health, it can be whatever we define as perfect body shape, what we want to learn, how we want to learn, who are we? The most predominant question, in my humble opinion, would be, who am I and why am I here? If I don't know how to have any kind of introspection and look inside and just realize that these are the questions that can have endlessly many ways either to be answered or for the answers to be searched for, because very often we cannot get or find answers, and very often the point is in the journey towards seeking those answers. And isn't it so with everything in life, that it's not so much about the goal or the thing that we're trying to reach or get or accomplish, as much as it's about the journey, our unfolding from where we are now, when we allowed that seed of desire to be presented in some corner of our mind and our vision. And then how do we get from where we are now to wherever that is, where we have that thing, or we've achieved that goal, or we've accomplished that thing. And it's always about being able to appreciate the journey. And we hear that all the time. It's about the journey, not about the destination. And since we hear that all over the place in so many different ways, I was just contemplating a little bit how interesting it is when we ask ourselves, who am I, or why am I here? And how interesting it is what kind of answers we can either come up with, or what kind of answers can come through us, and how many different versions there can be. And then some of us would take those questions and the process of questioning, we could take it as motivation, inspiration, kind of life mission as well, to try to find those answers. And it's really interesting once when you remove the option of using as an answer any of the quote-unquote known or usual ways to answer those questions, like, why are we here? Why am I here? And I know you can't see, but I'm in the middle of the forest in my usual morning walk, so I could as well answer, well, I'm here because this is one of my most favorite things to do, and I love this. But then if I would remove any of what I just said, what would I answer then? And that space that stays, and that silence that stays, that's such a beautiful invitation for you to explore a little bit deeper, further, in any way that you feel inspired. Maybe you don't even feel inspired to do that at all, and that's also fine. Like, that's the most important part, to just realize that there is no obligation, there is no certain way, nothing is set in stone, there's no have-tos, there is no how-tos. It's just like you have complete clarity of how it should be done once when you just relax into that silence and space that stays after the question. And then even more beautiful question, again in my humble human opinion, is, who am I? And then if we would use the same process just like in previous question, and we would just remove all usual ways to answer on that question. So we would gently and kindly remove all descriptions or usual answers that we use when we were asked that question any other time in our life. So if you wouldn't use your name, if you wouldn't use what you do for a living, where you're from, where you are located on planet, what you like, what excites you, where you come from in sense of description of your family, biological or non-biological. If we would remove all of these quote-unquote usual descriptions, what would you answer then? Who are you? And why not to take preciousness and luxury of this moment and just stop for a moment. Close your eyes, calm your breathing, and just listen and feel what is there when you hear the question, who am I? Who am I? And you will know if you get beautiful, 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 inspired silence. You will feel tickling, maybe in the bottom of your tummy or in the back part of your brain or head, depends how you describe it. Or you'll maybe feel this exciting, curious feeling inside of your chest, or you'll feel tingling in your fingers, or you will just feel a little bit faster breathing. And these all bodily sensations are so beautiful because they are your personal, non-personal invitations to look within, to look what is it that is calling you from the inside. Where does it call you from, and where is it inviting you to? And if I would give my best to assist you in this process, I could just tell you that you should not worry or care how any of these questions should be answered, how this should be done. What if I make a mistake? What if I don't hear or feel any sensation? What then? And just simply, I want to comfort you and welcome you in that space, because that's also, as everything else, perfectly fine. And sometimes, very often actually, in the beginning, when you just start for the first few times asking all these questions, that uncertainty and insecurity, those are going to be the first layers or blankets or welcomes that you're going to get. And you just need to know that that's also perfectly fine, because your way and your inquiry to start the process of feeling, sensing, inhaling your own answers on these questions, that process is always only yours. And in the same way how perfectly imperfect and how perfectly unique you are and your individuated expression is, in that same way, probably even asking of these questions might start differently. But I just wanted to assist you gently, in case that you never got to those questions yet. And just as I was saying, maybe you already started that process in your own way. And definitely answer is going to be very, very, very different than probably anything that you've heard before. And you should just know that that is exactly how it's supposed to be. Because no one can tell you how it should be asked or how it should be answered. And everyone else or anything else that you've read, anyone else that you've heard talking about this topic, you can use them just as gentle inspiration particles that are going to serve you as permission slips. And one of the most important things is realizing and allowing the curiosity, the flame of curiosity, to become a blaze of desire of yourself to know itself. So use every conversation you ever had, use every book you've ever read, use every movie you've ever seen, use every experience in life that you've ever had. Use it all as an excuse, inspiration, and motivation for that beautiful, tender, gentle, unique, just your own little flame of yourself to get to know itself, to become a blaze of the journey where the flame of yourself is growing into a blaze of knowing itself. We talk about this a lot, me and Michelle, because one of the purposes of the perennial heart is the expression of everything that comes in shape of lesson individually for me or her, or something that we are going through together. So it's really beautiful. And this is, I've learned, very important because it helps you express yourself. It helps you contemplate even more, and it helps you reflect on things in so many more different ways. And it definitely helps you to hear yourself. So I was just thinking, like, how is someone who, for example, never asked this kind of questions, never even tried to answer them, how that someone is supposed to at all step into any of this? And then how confusing it can get, because, like, at least from what I see from where I am now in my understanding, like, there are so many different paths and ways, and I started diving into these kind of questions many years ago, so that helped me just to be already able to be on the journey. I'm not saying that I've got the answers, but I've started seeking, and so I've already found some kind of safe space for me from where I can uninterruptedly look around and always follow that beautiful small particle of what awakens certain interest within me or within my heart, and then I follow, and I'm never blindly following, because I know that someone else's truth cannot be my truth due to this uniqueness of all of us. I mean, just when you look into how amazingly unique we are in sense of, like, the way we grew up, if we just consider the uniqueness of how you and your life and your expression got initiated, you are unique. You are perfect because of the uniqueness that you brought with you. And so, considering that fact, we just have to consider following fact, which is, if I'm so unique, then that has to mean that the way I'm going to see things, feel things, hear things, it's going to be also very unique. We will also learn in different ways. And so inner processes will always go in only our individuated way. And then the main confusion comes when you, let's say, read 5 different books, but all those books have somewhat similar way, which says, okay, in order to really find the answer and question, who am I, you need to meditate, and you probably have preformed, or you might have preformed aversion towards meditation because it just seems so boring or so hard or impossible to stop your thoughts or impossible to focus on one thing or blah blah blah, whatever the reason might be. And all of those reasons can be valid and true, but basically, if you see someone else doing something that inspires this beautiful little inner flame inside of you, the flame being the question, who am I, and how do I discover who am I? And then you just know, it's written in everything you are, in everything you were, in everything you will become, this innate urge to answer that question. And you know that small flame of question, who am I, needs to become a blaze of that one that is questioning, to get into the process of discovering, finding out, embracing, realizing itself, knowing itself. The only thing that I really wanted to say is, don't believe blindly in everything you see or hear. Trust that beautiful little voice you have within, and even if you cannot hear it, that's fine. If you just set an intention and you decide, for this month or this week or this day or this year or next 5 years, my main intention is to learn how to hear that inner voice. As soon as you set clear intention, trust me, the confirmations and the ways for you to get to your intention will start arriving and will start unfolding in your everyday or in some of your days. So then find whatever excuse to just get curious about hearing the voice, because when you start hearing the voice, that voice will always try to call you more within, because that voice always carries your individuated question and your individuated answer on that question. And question is always something along the lines, who am I? Why I'm here? What excites me? What is my purpose? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to be? How am I supposed to get there? And I mean, don't get afraid with all these questions. These are just beautiful, beautiful invitations into even bigger expansion. And you will know exactly what I'm talking about once when you allow those questions. And then for those of you who are listening to this and who are already far deep into those questions and your own ways to answer, I have a small message from the forest also for you. And that is, just find a way to express your lessons, because there are so many others, quote, quote, others, because there are no really others. Everyone else is just different expression of us. We are all one. But find a way to share your lesson, because you were brought here to share your experiences, your insights, your ways to get there, your ways to stay there, because every your answer and every your process is going to inspire small, different individual particle of that same process inside of someone else. And then we are all living our purpose, which is remembering our true nature, because once when you get there, then the real magic starts. And trust me, you chose this, and you wanted to hear this, and you needed to hear this. So thank you for your time. You are loved.